Hudson County View live and uncut, and I'm your host, the guy that lifts barbell plates, eats T-bone steaks, and still has a demeanor that's sweeter than a chocolate cake, John Heinis. And of course, we got not much other than election coverage today. You know, there's just so much going on with these Jersey City and Hoboken runoffs. Of course, that's set for December 2nd. Remember, you have to register to vote by November 25th if you want to vote in this one. So with that, I mean, let's just get right to it. I mean, we got a ton of endorsements that have just come down. For example, in Jersey City, we had probably 8 to 10 last week, if I had to just earmark it. And a lot of them went toward Councilman James Solomon. So we're going to tell you about that. And also on the other side of Washington Street over in Hoboken, we're seeing what's going on with 3rd Ward Councilman Mike Russo and his campaign. He's getting a lot of electeds, current and former, to get behind his candidacy against Councilwoman at Large Emily Jabbour. And interestingly, also in the Mile Square City, we have something going on with the reinstatement of the fire chief, which we've spoke about on this program countless times probably. And now it finally looks like Brian Crimmins will be reinstated, but that's actually led to a spat between Hoboken Mayor Ravi Bala and Jabbour, of all people. And Bala also had some choice words for Russo. So that's a fun one that we're definitely going to speak a lot about. And again, it's runoff season, and it will be, again, till December 2nd when it is election day again. And today my guest is going to be Catherine Healy, who's seeking that council seat in Ward D. So we're going to have a quick break. We'll be right back.
No one plans on heart disease, but everyone should have a plan for it. We help patients of all lifestyles and medical histories plan for healthy hearts. We offer convenient screenings without judgment, hundreds of preventive programs, and women's heart specialists. And we're the largest cardiac surgery program in New Jersey. Make plans for a healthy heart with RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.
Hudson County View live and uncut, John Heinis. So let's talk about what's going on in the Mile Square City. So again, you got this runoff election to determine the next mayor, and we have 3rd Ward Councilman Mike Russo taking on Councilwoman at Large Emily Jabbour. So interestingly here, you're seeing a lot of electeds line up behind Russo. So just in the past week, he's got the support 1st Ward Councilman Paul Presenzano, 2nd Ward Councilwoman Tiffany Fisher. That's a big surprise for those of you that were following up to the November elections, because they were going at it like cats and dogs in a lot of instances. They had a lot of not very nice things to say about each other. And now all of a sudden they're on the same side. So much so that former Fisher running mate Liz Urtecho is now on Russo's slate. So it's funny how those things happen, but you know what they say about politics and strange bedfellows. So also, on top of that, you got 4th Ward Councilman Ruben Ramos. So that's 2 recent mayoral candidates, the 3rd and 4th place finishers respectively, lining up behind Russo. And then we heard this morning from former 1st Ward Councilman Mike DeFusco. And you remember in 2017, he was a close runner-up for mayor. He was reelected in 2019, and then he decided not to run again in 2023. So he had a lot to say about the race. I mean, he's been a very vocal political foil against Bala and Jabbour for as long as most of us can remember, you know, probably the better part of the last decade. And this is some of what he said. This is the first truly contested mayoral election since I narrowly lost to Ravi Bala in 2017. And the same things I said then are even more true today. The new energy and ideas I pushed for back then were never going to be realized under Ravi, and they weren't. And nothing will change under Emily Jabbour. I've worked closely with both Mike and Emily. I've agreed with them. I've debated them. But here's the truth. For 8 years, Emily has been at this very center of political power in Hoboken. She's had full access to the administration she's now trying to distance herself from. Reinvention may be convenient in an election year, but it raises real questions about trust. So, you know, never one to be particularly shy in my experiences, and clearly making his presence felt on this one. You've seen him back on social media talking about this super PAC that's been helping out Jabbour. So he's shined some light on that. And again, he's always had an issue with Bala and his allies. So not a big surprise here. The bigger surprise, away from the endorsements for a moment, is what's going on with the fire department. So we've been talking about this since March at least. Talking how Brian Crimmins is supposed to be reinstated. Hasn't happened. The city has appealed it. Not really clear why, but finally Civil Service said last Monday that, listen, we've had enough. Of course, I'm paraphrasing, and they said, if you guys do not reinstate Crimmins as fire chief as soon as possible, then there's going to be repercussions, and it's going to be the equivalent of committing a 4th-degree crime. So obviously the situation's kind of spiraled here. And, with that said, we heard from Russo and Jabbour their separate statements, and they came out and they said, basically, this administration screwed up and it's time to make your wrongs right it. And Bala was not very happy with that, as you probably could have guessed. But what was particularly interesting was he, seemed to really take umbrage with what Jabbour had to say. And again, these guys ran together twice, and they've had a close political relationship, I guess, until this year. Clearly, a falling out has occurred long before this, if you check out what he said. So, in part, rather than make a simple status inquiry with my office, both council members Jabbour and Russo decided to compete with each other for political points. I find this disappointing and expected better from Councilwoman Emily Jabbour in particular. And he also said before that, if they simply picked up the phone and asked me for an update, they would know that the city is in the middle of active and constructive discussions to conclude this matter amicably and in its entirety. So certainly not what we were expecting, certainly not what I was expecting, but Jabbour, certainly took aim at Bala over this, which is something that she hasn't done previously, at least not in public. And she said, again, in part, the New Jersey Civil Service Commission has made it clear Mayor Ravi Bala must comply with the court order and reinstate Brian Crimmins as Hoboken Fire Chief. His continued refusal to follow the law is unacceptable and a disservice to Hoboken residents. So you remember there was a council vote in September where the city council voted narrowly that the city should follow the court orders and they should reinstate Crimmins immediately. And in that vote, Russo voted yes and Jabbour abstained. And that was something that Russo highlighted. He said something along the lines of, this is a time where we need a leader in Hoboken, not someone that's going to stand on the sidelines when it matters the most. So with all that in mind, let's talk a little bit about Jersey City. Again, there's just so many things going on here. I mean, things are really heated up. Obviously, we're only 15 days out already. So for Jersey City Wardee, Councilman James Solomon, he's got the endorsement of Hudson County Commissioner Bill O'Day, former Board of Education President Musab Ali, police officer Christina Freeman, all, of course, who ran for mayor, all through the support behind Solomon. You also have Hudson County Commissioner Uriah Ponte-Lipsky, who did some other endorsements too. She also endorsed Tom Zupa in C and Jake Efros in D. So interesting, definitely a wrinkle many people, again, including myself, did not see coming. And then, when we looked at the other side of the coin, if you will, we saw former Governor Jim McGreevey endorsed by Council President Joyce Waterman, of course, who just ran for mayor as well. And then this morning, we heard from O'Day again, and he's actually endorsing 3 people in this runoff cycle for at-large. That's Councilman at-large Daniel Herrera, which on its face is not surprising, but it's also has a little, disclaimer next to it. And I'd say that because Rivera is now running with Team McGreevey. So that's interesting for sure. And then today, again, O'Day came out and said that he's going to be backing Mamta Singh and former Council President Rolando Lavaro, who both are running with Solomon. So interesting wrinkles going on here throughout Hoboken and Jersey City as we get ready for these runoff elections. So folks, we're just going to take another quick break. When I come back, I'm going to be sitting down with Jersey City Ward D Council candidate Catherine Healy. We'll be right back.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers a quality of life you deserve in one of our many high-rise towers. With amenities such as the on-site Newport Path, light rail, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Kohl's, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams and Acme Supermarket are just outside your front door. A health and fitness center, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. Enjoy the New York skyline from our waterfront and various parks. Manhattan is just one path stop away, or quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Looking to visit? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. For more information, visit us at newportnj.com. Make lasting memories to cherish forever. It's incredible. It's you, Newport. Live like you want.
Hudson County View, live and uncut. John R. Heinis. As I mentioned a few moments ago, today my guest is Jersey City Ward D Council candidate Catherine Healy. Catherine, thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me, John. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. All right, so in the Heights, obviously we had a crowded council field, and It's usually what happens when the incumbent doesn't run again. But of course, there was a lot of tickets, and you were on Jim McGreevy's slate, and you were the top vote getter, and now you're going to take on Jake Efros in the runoff. So just tell us how we got here and how you're feeling about it.
So I think I got here because I've been involved and invested in this community for 44 years. How I ended up running is my property taxes tripled. My local park was literally locked up for almost 2 years, Mosquito Park. I'm the mother of 3 children. So I have a 4-year-old son. He needs to get out. He needs exercise. He needs fresh air, as do all children. And it was not possible because our local park was locked up. And then I said, enough is enough. Our streets are filthy. Our kids are going to Union City for recreation. You see how clean and well lit and safe Union City is and how wonderful their services are. They're right on our border. Why can't we in the Heights have the same amenities and services that Union City offers? So that is what my goal is to make the Heights as efficient, clean as Union City is.
It's a tall order. So, I mean, look, a lot of people have issues with regional industries, but we're just talking about cleanliness and the garbage contractor, the waste collection, removal, however you want to say it. So, I mean, let's start there. I mean, what do you think we should do? Should we bring it in-house? Should we put a wider bid out? What do you think's the solution?
The problem is Waste Industries is the only bidder. So this is what we're stuck with. So in the meantime, we have to work more closely with regional industries. Thank you. Mm-hmm. To make sure that they're up to snuff. Maybe they can send management along with these garbage trucks to make sure that they're actually picking up the garbage, that they're not missing garbage bags, that when a garbage bag rips, they actually clean up the garbage and put it into the truck. Number one. Number two is, why don't we start a pilot program and pick one district where we go in-house with the garbage pickup. Now, this is something that Union City already does. Union City has in-house garbage pickup.
Department of Public Works, right?
Correct. So we could start small in, like, say, Ward D and roll it out that way.
Okay. And then do you see DPW having any other perhaps changed or renewed functions that you'd like to see when you're talking about clean streets?
I would like to see more hands-on garbage pickup, less street cleaning. The tickets are just a nuisance. Families having to move cars is a nuisance. The cost of living has gone through the roof, so we can't afford these nonstop parking tickets for alternate side parking days. We have to limit that. And how efficient is our street cleaner anyway? We need to adopt exactly what Union City does. They have part-time workers go down each street, like neighborhood improvement district workers, and these people literally are picking up garbage and placing it into a bag. That's the only way we're going to get clean streets.
And when you mentioned Mosquito Park being closed for almost 2 years, you know, when we're talking about the rec department and maintaining the parks and getting programming at the park, how do you see that?
Well, recreation right now is all private. Everything's private in Jersey City. If you want basketball, you have to go through Bob Hurley's clinic. And thank God that the Hurley Family Foundation actually provides that for our kids. Mm-hmm. If you want baseball, softball, you have to go through a Little League, which is also private, like Washington Park Little League, Jackie Robinson, Roberto Clemente. Mm-hmm. The city does not offer these services. And it's to the detriment of our high school students, because these sports are how these first generation students and these working class families get into college many times. And we see Union City doing it so successfully. Why can't we do that in Jersey City? We see Bayonne do it so successfully as well. Their kids are all getting into, the high school students are all getting into D1 schools. They're getting full scholarships. We need to start doing that in Jersey City. And recreation is a huge part of that as well. So we got to get recreation in line because it's the best foundation for our students. It keeps them out of trouble, and it gives them another springboard into college. The parks, we need clean drinking water in our parks. Whoever renovated Pershing Field did a phenomenal job. They broke it down into portions. So they would only lock up the tennis courts. And then once they finished the tennis courts, then they moved on to the basketball courts.
Sure.
And they would only lock up the basketball courts. But the contractor who did Mosquito Park locked up the entire park. So even though there was no renovation on the basketball court, there was no renovation on the toddler jungle gym, the kids' jungle gym, we still were prohibited from using it. So this is why we need more moms involved in politics so that things like this don't happen. And we had our sledding hill removed. The city replaced the grass at the bottom of the generational sledding hill in Mosquito Park that I'm sure you've seen.
I have.
Video clips of it. And we replaced the grass with concrete at the bottom. We also placed these huge lampposts at the bottom of the sledding hill. I mean, this is because we don't have parents involved in these decisions.
Makes sense. All right, hold that thought, Catherine, if you don't mind. Folks, don't go anywhere. We're just going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Comprehensive healthcare is here, here, and here. RWJ Barnabas Health is healing, enhancing, and investing in Hudson County with its 2 newest locations, Hoboken and Exchange Place. Within walking distance or accessible by mass transit, our locations combine convenience with primary and specialty care, including cardiology, women's health, orthopedics, cancer care, and more. Let's be healthy together.
Hudson County View Live, and I've got Chad Heinis, and I'm still here with Jersey City Ward D Council candidate Catherine Healy. So just to close the loop on the recreation, so it sounds like there's a lot that has to happen from point A to point B, meaning if all these programs are private and you want to see, a lot more on the city side, how do we get there?
Now, we do plan on starting a grants department. The issue is we cannot raise taxes any further. The community cannot afford higher taxes. As when we do raise taxes, that increase gets placed on the tenants, on the renters. Then the rent goes up. So we cannot raise taxes. But we do plan on starting a grants department. There are all kinds of grants out there for green space, for building courts, for inner city youth programs, for basketball, for baseball. There's private grants, federal grants, MLB grants that we just have not looked into and applied for.
Sure. Okay.
And that's something we can do.
So obviously no one wants to raise taxes. No one wants to pay higher taxes, obvious. But would you say that given the financial circumstances that the city's in now, that the next mayor's probably going to have to raise taxes at least a couple of those years?
There's a few different things you can do here. As the property value increases, we get less money for our schools. Mm-hmm. Our property taxes increase because of the school funding formula. Now, we lost millions of dollars because our property value is so high. Who does that benefit? That doesn't benefit you and I, the local taxpayer who are living in Jersey City. The high property value only benefits those contractors who are coming in, flipping homes, and then here we are, the taxpayer, subsidizing these multi-millionaire corporations because we're paying higher taxes for their benefit.
Yeah.
So that has to stop. We have to do preservation citywide and allow more middle-class families an opportunity to stay in Jersey City and buy a home. We need more home ownership to build a community. The renter community is dangerous because people don't invest in the community. They don't have roots here. We want people to stay. We don't want people to live here for a year and then leave. We want people to raise their children here. And luckily in the Heights, we do have phenomenal grammar schools. So, and I keep explaining this to the families who are coming into Jersey City, hoping that they do set their roots here and stay.
Sure. Now, you mentioned, you actually kind of gave me the perfect segue. So your opponent, who you know was here last week, he talked about universal rent control, universal child care, and he also said his policies are totally feasible because the corporate billionaires could subsidize it, and millionaires too. So what do you think about all that?
I think universal rent control is very dangerous in that we have, especially in the Heights, we have so many families who rely, they're in owner-occupied 2 and 3 family homes. Number one. Number two, these owner-occupied landlords are not overcharging their tenants for rent. In fact, they're usually undercharging market rent rates because they want to help out their neighbor. They want to ensure that they get a good family in, living in the same building they're in. So it's totally missing the mark. It cannot happen. People are gonna go into foreclosure. They're gonna have liens placed on their homes because they're not gonna be able to afford their taxes, their water bills. It's just totally impractical. That cannot happen, will not happen.
And then another thing that he mentioned, which I'm sure caught your attention, was he basically said you haven't articulated much of a vision while you're running. Just vote for Jim McGreevey for mayor. It'll fix all your problems.
Okay, that is insulting, and it's not accurate at all. As I said, I'm running as a mother of my 3 children. I'm running on behalf of my 13 nieces and nephews who all live in Jersey City Heights, who are in the various public schools, who participate in various sports, different community organizations. I'm running for my parents who are senior citizens, who are so neglected. I'm not running for some international cause. I'm running to make the Heights better for all of us, for our children, for the middle-aged, for our senior citizens. We need more senior housing. They need better services. They are neglected, and we just have to take better care of everybody.
All right.
We've been taking care of the developers, but not taking care of the residents. That needs to change, and I'm going to change that.
All right, point taken. And now, just real quick before we go. So there's a lot throughout the country, not just Hudson County and New Jersey, but like people, have a feeling about political dynasties, whether we're talking about the Russo family, the Menendez family, in your case, the Healy family. So like, how does that color your approach to things, like growing up in this and having some familiarity from it, from a different point of view?
Okay, so great question. I know how difficult it is and how thankless the job is. Most people don't realize how grueling this work is. My whole family has sacrificed so much. My husband has become a single dad of the 3 children. He's doing the laundry, the cooking, everything. And it has been a tremendous sacrifice. But my family's making that sacrifice because they know I'm going to do the right thing and I'm going to make life better for everybody in the Heights. So I am jumping into this knowing how exceedingly difficult it is. But I do know how to get things done. And because I've been in these circles for a while, I have the proper connections to get certain things done. For instance, Congressman Menendez, to increase home ownership in the Heights. I reached out to him and asked him to please look into reinstating President Bill Clinton's 1995 bill to bring home ownership to our working class and middle class communities. And he did get back to me, and he is looking into it. He has a team looking into it. If we could do that with our dilapidated properties and give these homes to that the city does possess right now, if we could give them to live here, work here, teachers, firemen, local workers for Jersey City Municipality, low-income residents who have never owned a home before, but they're working low income. This is what we need to do to build a community. When your teachers live here, When your police officers live here, when your firemen live here, they're more invested in the community. They're gonna care about the sidewalk being clean. They're gonna care more about the child who's struggling to read or is failing their math test. They're gonna stay an hour later because they live on the same block as Frederick's family or whatever.
Got it. Yeah.
The cops, the police. If the police are living here.
I gotta stop you there.
Okay.
Because we're past time, but I do appreciate you coming in, and the best of luck.
Thank you so much, John. It's really hard for working moms to get out there, so I appreciate this platform. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We're just going to do another quick segment before we call it a week. We'll be right back.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and launch inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net.
Hudson County View live and uncut. So just a couple quick ones here, folks. Obviously short on time and just so much to talk about. But actually, I know we're still in runoff season, as I only said 1,000 times today, but we actually already have a candidate for Bayonne mayor, and that race is not until May 12th of next year. So Bayonne Councilman at Large Lloyd Booker, a retired police officer who was elected on Mayor Jimmy Davis's slate 4 years ago, or 2022 to be exact, he declared on Thursday, and that was definitely something people anticipated happening, but not this soon. And that looks like something's going to happen where the Hudson County Democratic Organization gets behind his candidacy. And it looks like that'll include Mayor Jimmy Davis. As you guys know, he is the Hudson County Sheriff-elect. So certainly there's a chance of a special election here, but it seems unlikely. So that's about all I can tell you there. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the closure of Heights University Hospital. So we heard about this last week, and a lot of people weren't surprised, but it's definitely a situation Thursday that came spur of the moment. I mean, the announcement came kind of late, like 8:30 at night, and basically their CEO, Dr. Nizar Kafaya, said, unfortunately, despite best efforts by the leadership at Hudson Regional Hospital, it was informed this afternoon that the state will not be providing the critical funding needed to sustain the operations of Heights University Hospital. So he said, therefore, they couldn't pay their payroll, their recent plans to operate a standalone emergency department, among other things, canceled essentially. They filed a certificate of need with the Department of Health, a certificate of need for closure with the Department of Health. So obviously a lot of political reactions here. The union, the HPAE, that's the Health Professionals and Allied Employees, certainly not happy. It was difficult to conceive of an employer that could be more harmful to its employees and community than CarePoint has been in Hudson County. But Hudson Regional Health has surpassed CarePoint as the worst employer in Hudson County. So obviously, they're not mincing words. They're making their feelings known. With that, folks, we're already going to call it a week. Best of luck to everyone heading to Atlantic City for the League of Municipalities. I'll see you there. And for everyone else, I'll see you next week.